So maybe just some housekeeping from my side. So as Krystle mentioned, if you can keep your Q&A answers or Q&A, sorry, for the end of the session, but we don't mind if you can use the Q&A button for inside the session. You can ask your questions and our team will answer them. If there's any questions they can't answer, I will answer them at the end. All right, so just to go through the agenda quickly. So I want to talk about WhatsApp globally and the use cases in business. Also about the messaging and industry overviews. And also, as Antoine mentioned, I'm going to go through IVR and how that links directly with WhatsApp, and also the options around that. And also quite important, I think, is the, some rules and regulations around the WhatsApp Business API, the opt-in scenarios, and also the verification. And then we will go over some use cases with myself and Vasile will in separate talks today, we'll go through some of the use cases, some South African use cases, and also some use cases that's globally as well. And also I want to talk about the specific recommendations from WhatsApp, how to launch the service, and then also some introduction to Finch chatbot and what values we add to the WhatsApp channel today. And then I will hand over to Vasile to go over some of the use cases and some of the elements in the presentation. All right. So I want to make a statement today in business, and I think it's quite relevant in the times we are currently at. Businesses need to focus on customer experience in order to survive. Now, from the years experience I had with WhatsApp and other digital channels, this is quite important. Customers dealing today with a business or interacting with businesses, we need to focus on that customer experience. And you'll see today in our presentation, we'll mention that a few times, and you also see in the use cases that we mentioned that will be standing out. All right, so I'll come back to this statement a bit later, but I think that's quite important for the session today. All right, so with further ado, let me give you some indication of what is WhatsApp, what is the service about, why are we looking at WhatsApp Business as a channel, so the slide I'm showing now to you will see it's specifically focused on the world and which countries. Now there's about 180 countries, actually more than 180 countries, where the WhatsApp app is being used today, specifically because our companies in South Africa, and very much African focus, we see a huge uptake on this channel today. But it's not only Africa. You can see from a world view, there's quite a big demand currently for this channel. So 2 billion people today are using messaging apps. So this is definitely a place, I think, for any business today where we want to focus and how we want to communicate with our customers. There's definitely a trend in the world that businesses need to adopt and actually start envisioning how we can actually help our customers in a more convenient way. You can think about it. If you have a customer today that communicates to you via WhatsApp, it's much easier than doing that than phoning a call center. So there's definitely a big uptake on this, and this will come more out in our presentation today. All right, so maybe just some insight. And there's 2 billion active users today on WhatsApp. You can even see, I look at myself as well. I use WhatsApp predominantly as a communication medium. Now, maybe also from a use case point of view, I was quite involved with one of the telcos in South Africa, and they did an independent study where they've basically asked a few consumers, what is if your smartphone runs out of storage on your phone, what apps will you remove and what apps won't you remove? And the app that most of the users indicated they will not remove to make space on their phone was actually their messaging app like WhatsApp. So people don't really want to remove that app because I think that's crucial for them for communication today. So not only phone calls or SMS, but I think WhatsApp is number one today, specifically in the area we play in. So you can see, that was an independent study was done. And I think there's many other studies that was done to show that, so that's quite important. So why are we looking at WhatsApp? What is the main objective here? For me, it's increased customer satisfaction. It's quick and easy because we go into a channel where they're already a with, there's no additional training required because they're already using the WhatsApp channel today. All we're really doing, we're enabling a business today to be informing the customers on the WhatsApp channel. So really, we're taking a business and creating that brand on the WhatsApp channel so that their customers and new customers can actually communicate with them. But not only from the customer side, also the business. And I'll show you that today in this presentation, how businesses can actually use this tool, not only for the customers to communicate to them, but also for the business to communicate to the customer. So I think the big thing, I think the big upsell of WhatsApp is also the increase of our operational efficiency. Now you can think about it, you know, most customers today still phones a call center. And if we can rather use WhatsApp for our customers to communicate to us, we can actually automate a lot of the processes. So the operation efficiency is already there. We just have to enable that. So that's quite important. And I think it'll also reduce operating costs. And I think that's a big key today where we are, you know. So we can actually reduce costs from a call center where a customer doesn't have to phone a call center. We can even deflect them to a WhatsApp channel, to a chatbot, or to an automation framework where they can actually do self-help, you know. So we don't have to use a call center as much. And I think that'll also drive the cost down quite a lot. So what else can we do with the WhatsApp channel today? Now, it's not only about I can ask a question or chat. I think there's much more to it, you know. A lot of our customers we deal today with, a lot of their customers want actually to request a form of a document even, you know. So there is a big demand for media on the WhatsApp Business API today. So yes, you can share photos, you can send videos, you can also send, like I said, documents on this channel. And we have a lot of customers and businesses today asking for that specific feature where they can actually ask a request on the WhatsApp channel, and we can actually automate that process and send them a document via the WhatsApp channel. So I think that's quite useful, and I'll explain it later in some of the use cases. All right. So maybe to go into more detail around what's allowed in the WhatsApp API, or the WhatsApp Business API. So what is possible today, and this is very much, you know, let me explain quickly to more detail, is that a customer can ask a question to the business via WhatsApp, but there's certain elements that the business can send to the consumer. Now this is where so I always explain it like this. There's basically a customer-initiated conversation and there's a business-initiated conversation. Now, what the slide I'm showing now to you is specifically where the business initiates the conversation. There's a lot of rules around that, and I'll go into more detail, but what is possible from the business communicating to a customer? So a business can send a notification, all right? They can send a transactional message, maybe like an OTP. They can send an alert that's predominant to that consumer or to consumers, and they can also send a one-time PIN as well. So these are possible today in the API. Remember, this is only from the business, where the business initiates the conversation. What's not possible today is promotional messages. You're not allowed from the business side to initiate a promotional message to a consumer or a marketing message, and also advice and debt collection. That's unfortunately not allowed from the business initiated side. Now and I'm sure Vasile will also give us some more information around it. There might be possibilities where it is allowed, but not from the business initiated side. All right. So let's quickly have a look at the three different kinds of messages specifically to the WhatsApp business. Remember, this is very different if you're using the consumer app. I'm talking specifically here about the business API. So how I normally break it out is a conversational message for me is initiated by the consumer. All right. So what will normally happen, the consumer will interact with the business via the app. Now, how do we get that business active on the app actually? And that's maybe a good question we can ask, you know. So what happens, there's a few different ways, you know. I think the easiest way is to add the business contact to your phone. Like a normal contact, you add the business contact to your phone. Once you've done that, that business becomes available in your WhatsApp app to chat with. And I'll show you how that looks as well. There's another way as well. You can even click on a link on a website, and they can also enable the WhatsApp channel for that business. And you can also scan a QR code. Now, I will today also present one of the customers with a QR code. You can actually scan that QR code, and you can see how that interaction works. Very easy and very straightforward. But let me come back to the point here. So the conversational message for me, like I said, is initiated by the consumer. So the consumer will be engaging with the business. that's normally a very unstructured message. So they will ask a question like, hi, can you help me? And then what happened then, the automation framework or the bot that's linked to the WhatsApp API will actually answer that question back. All right, and that's then also unstructured message because the business has answered the question from the consumer. So that's very much a conversational message for me, but it must be initiated by the consumer. That's quite important to mention. And then from the template message, what is a template message? Template message basically is a set message that was approved by WhatsApp and was initiated by the business. So that means the consumer didn't call the business or didn't chat with the business on WhatsApp. What actually happened is the business had Optin their customers, so they can actually communicate with their consumers or their customers, and they initiate the conversation. Now, let me give you some context, maybe a use case around that. Let's take a airline, for instance. An airline maybe want to send you the boarding pass via the WhatsApp channel. But first thing, you're going to have to opt in to receive that. So once you've opted in and actually instructed the airline, I want to receive that, that boarding pass, they are allowed to send that to you because you've opted in. Then at any time when it's relevant, they will then send that boarding pass to you on the WhatsApp channel via a template message. So those were pre-approved by WhatsApp. So very important to mention, your template messages that you submit today will have to get approved by WhatsApp as well. All right. So those are the main messages. Then we also have a re-engagement message. And what's a re-engagement message? It's very similar to a template message. The only difference is here is, let's say, now there is a timer running on this conversation. So for instance, if a customer had an interaction with the business, and after that last consumer initiated message to the business, 24 hours lapsed. The only way the business can actually reinitiate that conversation is via a template message. And that's called in the WhatsApp world a re-engagement message. So they will forward that re-engagement message via template to re-engage with the consumer. All right, so very similar to the template message. The only difference is basically after a 24-hour period is lapsed after the initial message or the last message from the consumer has passed. All right, so hopefully that gives you some clarity on the types of messages in the business API that we actually get today. All right, so I'm going to go forward. So what I want to mention here on this slide is basically some of the verticals, and we'll go into more detail some of the use cases a bit later. But these are some of the use cases that's been seen today from WhatsApp, where businesses are initiating conversation via template messages. So like I mentioned before, the travel industry, specifically maybe an airline, can send booking confirmation, boarding passes, gate information, hotel information. That's quite relevant information that is sending on to the consumer. So if you look at all these use cases and all what I mentioned here today, it's about all driving convenience and customer satisfaction by using the WhatsApp channel. So we're going to a relevant channel like WhatsApp, and we're sending relevant information. All right. So myself, I also use WhatsApp for business for a lot of the business interactions I have, and I found, for me, I'm more productive and I'm getting more things done by using the business API today for some of these use cases. So, but I mean, there's many more. I'm just mentioning a few here. In the retail industry, you could have maybe purchase confirmations, food order receipts, all relevance sent to you via the WhatsApp channel. But just bear in mind, like I mentioned before, what's kind of important with all these use cases, because all these use cases are business-initiated conversations, is via templates, and it has to get approved by WhatsApp. Quite important. All right. So you can have many templates as a business, but these templates will have to get approved by WhatsApp. All right. So, and we talked about this earlier, one key feature today, and what Anton also mentioned, we want to see where we can have more efficiency in business. And I think a key for me is driving a customer that phones a call center to actually self-help them in the WhatsApp channel. And we can do this today, so we link the IVR or give an option in the IVR, and we call this IVR deflection. And what happens then, the customer, and I'll give you a use case. Let's say a customer phones a insurance vertical, all right, and they may request, they want a policy document, or they even want to update their policy document, but they don't want to talk to a call center agent because it might be they don't want to wait. It's maybe in a queue. So what will happen, we can actually add an option on the IVR where we can deflect that customer to WhatsApp. That means the customer have an option now, either to chat with an agent, or they can actually be deflected right to WhatsApp. And once it's deflected to WhatsApp, the business actually sends them a WhatsApp message via template message. So once I choose that option, immediately they will receive a message in their WhatsApp channel with the business, and they can interact right there and then with that chatbot to request a document or to have maybe a query handled. So it means without having human intervention, it means it's very much operations efficiency. We're driving costs down one way, but also giving that customer satisfaction and the convenience side. And think about it also, what happens if the call center closes after, let's say, 5 o'clock? We can now have this option on, and the customer can self-help them even after hours. So this is a great benefit to a business having this option. All right. So I want to quickly play you this little video, just give you some insight, or maybe just some example on how we can use IVR deflection from a use case to a WhatsApp chat line.
Good day. What can I do for you today?
I'd like to track my parcel.
Sure, I can help you with your parcel. I see from your mobile number that you have a delivery scheduled tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. If you would like to update this, I can send you details via WhatsApp. Shall I do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, I have sent you the details on WhatsApp. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, thank you.
Thanks for calling. Goodbye.
And you will see now it'll open up the WhatsApp channel. And a customer can actually update the delivery message there. You will see that. And automatically it will update and send them a message via WhatsApp. So just a quick example, here you'll see, and they receive the message via WhatsApp. All right, so speaking to the IVR and getting deflected right to the WhatsApp channel. And you can even ask a question while he's busy with the WhatsApp channel now. I talked about sharing different kind of media and pictures, even locations. Okay. So this guy's, I think this guy's parcel was damaged, so he's going to send a picture of the damaged parcel. So we're actually doing a few use cases in this video. Okay, so doing a damage claim right from the WhatsApp channel. And then the claim was sent to the consumer via WhatsApp as well. And what he's also doing here, another use case, we are speaking to an agent. So we're asking the WhatsApp channel, can we speak to an agent? And that can be done as well. So we're connecting straight to a live agent. All right. So just to showcase you, there's a few use cases that were showed there, but I think the important one is the IVR deflection. We can deflect a customer without speaking to a call center agent straight into the WhatsApp channel. And then we can send him relevant information, but he can also then interact, because while he's on the WhatsApp channel, he can also interact and activate different use cases while he's on the WhatsApp channel. All right. So that's great. So let's move on. As I mentioned before, with the template messages, we have to opt in customers. That's quite important. That's one of the rules and regulations on the WhatsApp channel. And there's a certain few options we have to opt in customers. And the reason why we have to opt in our customers is that so that we can send them templates. So actually giving consent that we can send them template messages. Because what a business don't want today, you don't want to send template messages to customers that they didn't opt in, because what will happen, those customers will start blocking you on the WhatsApp channel. So that you don't want as a business. So there's a few options how you can opt in customers. You can either do a call where we can maybe phone the IVR, and on the option list, you can ask the question, do you want to opt in to receive messages from our business? Yes or no, and that's an opt-in option we can use. We can also use SMS as well, so you can send outside the channel, we can send them SMS, and via the SMS, we can then also opt in the customer as well. There's also a third one I didn't mention here. We can also opt in a customer via the web as well. So I know some of the airlines use the web channel specifically to opt in their customers. So when they may be buying their ticket, or maybe they're confirming their booking, they can actually right there on the website confirm the opt-in, and then they can receive their boarding pass. Okay, so there's a few options, but I think these are the key ones. So either via IVR, either via SMS. And then quite important, as the business, you will have to keep record of those opt-ins and opt-outs so that you know which customers you can send the template messages to. So that's quite important, just a rule from the WhatsApp side. So opt-in is quite important. All right, and I think this is quite important to mention, and I want to just spend some time here. This is very important for when the business onboards onto the WhatsApp channel. There's a few things that you will have to mention. I think the first thing is any business that onboards onto the WhatsApp channel, and not all businesses, we call it the verification marker. Now, the verification marker on a company, and I'll show you an example a bit later, but you will see on the screen there, we're using an example here of Absa as a bank. Now, they've got a verification marker. That verification marker, it will be given to that brand or to that business by WhatsApp themselves. Okay, so as a business solution provider, Vonage, that's ours, they will request that to WhatsApp to get that verification marker for that brand. So there's a strict verification that will go through. Now, also quite important to mention that the brand name must occur all over the same. What I mean by that, it has to be, so in Absa, this case, Absa's name must be flowing through all digital environments with the same branding. So the branding, the name must be the same on WhatsApp, has to be the same on Facebook Messenger or Facebook. It has to be the same on the website as well. All right, so that's quite important. So the business name has to appear there, it has to be correct. And then also what I mentioned here as well is the telephone number. The telephone number that you will give us. Now, most companies share their current landline number or even their call center number with us for verification, and that number will get added as their WhatsApp business number. Right? That number must be a valid number, and it has to be verified by WhatsApp. So when you activate that service, WhatsApp normally sends a verification code, or they will even phone that number to verify that it's working, and the verification code will verify that number can be activated. So that's quite important. Now, coming back to the higher verification marker, the higher verification marker is actually quite important, because when a consumer or a client of this brand interacts with this business, the verification marker basically indicates to the customer and the customer, this is not a group. You're actually interacting with the business. All right, so this is the business I'm interacting with, and the verification marker is basically almost like a certificate telling me this is the business I'm actually interacting with, and not a group. And from a security point of view, I think it's quite important specifically for a bank in this case. All right. Okay, so I think let's get in some use cases. I think that'll also help quite a lot. So these are just some brands. I picked a few brands that I worked with, and I think some global brands that has actually onboarded today on the WhatsApp channel. So there's quite a few on here, and I'll go through some with them. There's some retailers, there's some telcos, there's some financial companies on here, there's some banks on here. So you can see there's different brands and different verticals that's already onboarded on WhatsApp. So they're already today using this WhatsApp channel for specific use cases. All right, and expanding on that. All right, so let's go into some elements of these use cases. So one of the banks, and I think this is one of the first banks that onboarded onto the WhatsApp channel, was ABSA. So they've launched their banking service specifically on the banking, on the WhatsApp service. Now, maybe a question that will arise, and maybe you can answer that right away while we're all busy now, is how does the security work? How does the authentication work? You know, so very important. There's a few elements, and I think WhatsApp actually makes it very permanent in their rules and regulations, that they don't really want a business, or don't actually allow it, to have verification or authentication happening in the WhatsApp channel. Meaning, if I look at ABSA today, their verification and registration happens outside the WhatsApp channel. So what really happens inside the WhatsApp channel for ABSA is their chat banking. It means they can, you as an ABSA customer, if you're an ABSA customer, you can interact with them, authenticate outside the WhatsApp channel in the app normally, and then you can either get your account balance, you can even pay a beneficiary, and they're even allowing to buy airtime and data as well on the WhatsApp channel. So a very nice use case, and they've launched it a few years ago. I think, you know, so I think it's a very relevant use case, specifically in the banking industry. And I've seen quite a lot of other banks that's already onboarded a similar kind of service as well on the WhatsApp channel. So maybe a question to ask: why do you think ABSA has onboarded this on the WhatsApp channel? Why not keep it in the banking app? Maybe, you know, I think this is also what I mentioned before. You know, we want to move our customers to a relevant channel where they are already communicating, and I think I see that more and more today, where customers are moving away from apps. I'm not saying apps are dying. What I'm saying is that we need to give our customers options, not only via app, but I think also via a channel like WhatsApp. And that's specifically what apps has done here. You know, they still have their banking app, but I also give a choice now to their customers. And I think it's more convenient for a lot of their customers now to interact with them via WhatsApp to do some banking services. Now, I know apps is also, there is some features they built into their WhatsApp chat banking. It's also to alleviate a lot of fraud, you know, so they're not allowing huge amounts to be transferred or payments to be done on the channel. So there is some limitations from the using the channel. I think that's mainly to alleviate fraud. All right. So yeah, I think that this is a great use case, and they'll be launching similar or more use cases as the time goes along. But this is one of the first use cases that ABSA has launched specifically on the WhatsApp channel. And what I've shared as well, I've shared the number with you. This is the WhatsApp number. You can add a number, but you'll see if you're not a ABSA customer, you will not be able to really interact with them and get the full banking service. All right. So that's ABSA. Now I want to show you a little video, maybe just to showcase to you how this the WhatsApp channel works for ABSA today. Actually, a very nice video. So let me just play that for you quickly.
Welcome to ABSA Chat Banking on WhatsApp, a simple guide to paying your beneficiaries. To pay a beneficiary using ABSA Chat Banking, you will need to have paid them twice before, using online banking or through the ABSA Banking app. Type the beneficiary's name and the amount you want to pay them, and send the message. If the payment details are not correct, you can change them by typing change. Otherwise, type yes to confirm your payment. Once bot confirms your payment, you can continue banking or quit the chat. Chat banking on WhatsApp. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
There we go. So that was actually quite, sorry, let me just open that full screen again. So that was the banking, ABSA banking, WhatsApp banking channel. So very, very nice actually. So KLM, another use case, like I mentioned, airline, there's a lot of airlines today that's onboarded on the WhatsApp channel. KLM is, I think, also one of the first that onboarded on the WhatsApp channel, specifically, you know, to send relevant information to their customers. You know, I think the nice element here is that it's a 24/7 service, not only from delivering messages to their customers, but also for the customers interacting with their business. You know, so I've also shared the number there for you for KLM. You can interact with them, add the number to your contact list, and you can interact with them. You'll also see they are a verified business as well, so that verification marker will show up in the contact in WhatsApp. And yeah, so I know there's other airlines today that's also using the similar service. I know in South Africa, SAF Air is one of the airlines today that's also using a very similar service to KLM on the WhatsApp channel, and they're specifically using that to send your boarding pass to you on the WhatsApp channel. So a very nice service, and I think quite relevant. I've also shared with you, and like we said, we'll share this presentation afterwards, but I've also shared with you a link to the Facebook page specifically to this use case to give you some more detail on what they're doing regarding the WhatsApp channel today. All right, so that's quite a nice use case. And then this is a very nice use case as well, and the reason why I've actually added the QR code there, and I'm coming back and I'll go a bit later over this, how's the different elements, how we can activate the service. And what Macro decided, they want to print a QR code to activate the WhatsApp channel. So you are quite welcome to scan that QR code. And what's nice, this is a full service, so you don't have to be a Macro customer. You can scan that QR code and you have access to their WhatsApp channel, and you can actually have a chat with them. So say hi to them on the channel, and you'll get a full brief on what you can actually do with them on the WhatsApp channel today. Now, the main reason why Macro as a retailer, I think they were actually also one of the first retailers in South Africa to launch this service. So what they've done, and I think the main use case they launched the service was all the information. What it means is that they wanted their customers at any time to interact with them without using the call center, without any human intervention, to actually track their order. So when you place the order online, that you have the ability to track that order anytime at your own leisure. And I think that was very important for them, and this was enabled for them on the WhatsApp channel. You know, so a relevant channel, and I think a very, very relevant use case for their customers. And the main reason why they've also launched that use case was specifically because their call center was flooded on Black Friday, and they were looking for a different means how to alleviate that stress from the call center. And how they've done that today was use the WhatsApp channel. You know, so they print a few of these QR codes in their shops, all right, and also you can also interact with them via the WhatsApp number as well. So you don't have to scan the QR code. You can actually just add that WhatsApp number that I've showed you on the screen there, and you can also interact with them. So there's different methods you can see how we can enable the service. But I think this is a great use case from a retailer. Now there's quite a lot of other retailers that's onboarding the service for different use cases. I know some of them are using it for rewards programs. I've seen various of different use cases. But I think the Massmart or Macro use case was actually quite a nice one, because they started off with the order use case, or track my order use case, and they've expanded on that. So you'll see when you interact with them today on the WhatsApp channel, you'll even see what they've done. I think I actually really like that, is what they've done. They have, if you maybe in store today and you forget your Macro card, you can't really check out, because for them, you have to have the Macro card. You either can go to the kiosk and reprint a card, but that's not very customer friendly. So what they've done, enabling you to scan a QR code in store, all right, you can actually download your digital Macro card via the WhatsApp channel. So that was the second use case they've enabled on the WhatsApp channel, and I think it's very relevant. So I think this is a great use case, because you can see they've started off with one use case and then enabling multiple use cases using the same WhatsApp channel. So a very, very good use case in this case for retailers, but I think really relevant to maybe other use cases as well. All right, so that was a very nice one. And then this is very much a customer service use case. So Web Africa as an ISP, they decided to use WhatsApp as a main channel to communicate with their customers from a customer care point of view, meaning a customer of theirs can interact with them either using the web chat or even directly with WhatsApp. All right, so that's their WhatsApp number today, and you can add it to your phone as well to see the interaction. But really what it comes down to, if you're a customer of Web Africa, you can actually engage with them, and maybe you have a problem. Maybe you want to check on outages. Maybe you are experiencing a problem with your line, with your fiber line. You can actually troubleshoot that via their chatbot on the WhatsApp channel today. And if you still don't have, if you still have problems and maybe not get the answer, you can even have the option to chat directly to a live agent via the WhatsApp channel. So yes, that's also possible. You know, it's not only to automate a lot of the processes on the WhatsApp channel, but I think it's also from a customer care point of view, you can also interact with a live agent on the WhatsApp channel. Now, I know a few businesses today that actually enable their WhatsApp channel, and they don't have any automation linked to that. They actually linked that directly to live agents. So I think it's all depending on the use case and what you want to use it for. So maybe for emergency services, you don't want to link it to a automation framework. You want to maybe link it directly to a live agent or agents. But in this use case, specifically for Web Africa, that was their challenge. You know, they want to alleviate stress from the call center. They also wanted to have their customers to self-help. You know, so using the WhatsApp channel was important for them because this was a channel that a given channel they want to be on, and then also link that to a chatbot, so be able to self-serve, and then also to break out to an agent or agents to assist their customers. So actually quite a nice customer care use case that we see today in the market, and I saw a few of those as well. All right, so that's a few use cases, and I know Vasile will also give us some use cases later on in this brief about some international brands we've launched, also quite relevant to this discussion today. But what I want to discuss now with you is, and I think this is quite key to the discussion, is how do we launch WhatsApp as a business? You know, what should we know, and what is the approach that WhatsApp actually guides us on? So what's quite important, I think, you know, WhatsApp today tells us that and I actually agree with this quite, and I've seen this with a lot of customers I dealt with in onboarding WhatsApp, is that you should have a phased approach when you launch these services. You know, so as you can see, WhatsApp strongly recommends that businesses start sending and receiving messages with internal employees. So when you start launching this WhatsApp service, I think it's good to get input from either your employees or maybe a small customer community that you choose to experience the WhatsApp channel and experience the automation that you've linked with the WhatsApp channel. Because remember, the WhatsApp channel is a great channel to be on, but it's not only about the WhatsApp channel, it's also about the customer experience that you link with the WhatsApp channel. So it's all about, you know, the automation framework or maybe the chatbot that you link with the WhatsApp channel. So what is that experience? So a phase one is a good approach. You know, take a small community, do an internal testing, see that experience. And I've seen it with a lot of my customers, of our customers actually onboarded, how they actually do that testing, and we can help you with that. You know, so once the testing is done and we've got very good response, then you take it to a phase two, where you then choose a bigger community of your customer base, and you then test that for any technical issues, or maybe and test the experience again. How does the customers feel when they're dealing with your brand, and how's the customer experience that I see on the channel? And once you've done that, then take it to the larger community and launch a full-scale service into production. And that is this normally, I see this a lot of the brands that do the same approach, and this is also recommended from the WhatsApp channel. All right, so definitely a good approach, and this is maybe some insight for you as a business that if you want to onboard on the WhatsApp channel today, this is a very good approach to follow. All right, so maybe just some guidelines as well on, you know, from the business material that we should address is, I think, very important from the business side, how your business helps customers. How, this is quite important for WhatsApp as well. You know, they want to know, what are you as a business going to do? How are you going to help your customers? It's all about convenience. It's about the customer experience that we're driving again in the WhatsApp channel. And also, what makes sense for you? Why do you want to communicate with your customers on WhatsApp? Is there a requirement from the customers, or did you did some market research to see, listen, most of my customers are currently using WhatsApp and you want to communicate them? Or maybe there's a specific use case or a need in the market for that service. Now, quite important, I've seen with a lot of brands that are on board, and I maybe go back to the apps, maybe the macro use case, you'll see a lot of them launched a specific use case that's very relevant in the market today. Even if you look at the SAF-E use case, they've launched a very relevant use case by sending your boarding pass to you. You know, it's a small use case, but I think a very relevant one. So maybe start with the relevant use cases and then expand on that. And also maybe very important, inform your customers. How are you going to opt them in? You know, so if you want as a business to communicate with them, tell them, listen, this is how you opt in with us. So it's quite important to convey that message to your consumer. How do you opt in? You know, we want to send a communication to you as a business. but how's the process? What do you follow from a customer? And it's very clear you have to make that to them. And then I think very good feedback to us and maybe to the business solution provider and to WhatsApp. What is the positive outcomes you've seen by using the WhatsApp channel? I think that's, you know, from a conform community, it's important to know that and to see the positive outcomes of using the WhatsApp channel today. And I've seen a few of those, and that's very good. All right, so maybe just some guidelines from WhatsApp, you know. So normally when you launch the service, they recommend definitely to do a marketing campaign, do some press releases, maybe even do some video. Now, if I take back the time to ABSA, you know, they did a huge marketing campaign launching their banking services on the WhatsApp channel. They've launched a few videos online, even I think even on TV ads they did as well. So, you know, we have to follow some guidelines. You'll see I've also referenced some email addresses and some links for you on the slide here that you can maybe send your request to. But you can do press release, but it has to be approved by WhatsApp and their team. I've also given you some timelines as well, you know, so you can do a video response or maybe a video campaign, but just be vigilant. There is a timeline link from WhatsApp to give you approval on that. And then there is also some guidelines I've added here as well, where you can have a click to chat campaign as well. All right. So just from a process point of view. And then how can customers access your WhatsApp channel? You know, how can you promote that? So you can do it for your PR, you can do TV, like I mentioned, radio, podcast, you can inform your customers. This is what you do, how to actually link with the WhatsApp channel. You can also promote it via website, your digital channels like social media, very important. And then like here, like Macro has printed a QR code. You know, that QR code can either be printed on different media, you know, maybe in store, maybe on a banner, but there's different places where to print that, and you can scan that and immediately you have access to the channel. So there's a few ways of getting your customers to know about the channel and to interact with you on WhatsApp. All right, just a few mentioned here. And yeah, I think very important. Let's quickly do a quick introduction to Finch Chatbot. I think, like I mentioned to you before, it's not only about, for me, about the amazing WhatsApp channel, but it's also about the experience that we link to the WhatsApp channel. That's where Finch Chatbot plays a major role from the customer experience side. So maybe just a quick introduction on who we are. So we bring conversational AI solution for the financial service industry. What I mean by that is that we enable you as a business through different channels like WhatsApp, like Facebook Messenger, maybe web or Twitter, to interact with your customers in a convenient way, but also in a very conversational way. So our focus today is very much aimed at customer acquisition, customer service. I think it talks to itself. And then also we do debt collection as well. Now, as I mentioned, we can't do debt collection on WhatsApp, but debt collection we can do via different channels. But these are the 3 different pillars that we really focus on today. And we've been very successful launching these chatbots on different channels. So here's a few of our customers that we deal with today. You'll see many of them are in the financial industry, but we also deal with different various of brands, even in the retail industry, but very much focused in the financial side of it. So what I want to show you, and I think a lot of people ask me, but why Finch Chatbot? What is the main value that Finch Chatbot brings to the WhatsApp channel and to your business? You know, for us, and we see ourselves as leaders in selling and servicing our financial products to via conversational AI to our customers. So how do we do this today? And what is the value that we bring to a business? So for us, seamless integration with other existing systems, and we can even integrate into legacy systems. So as you can understand, a lot of customers on board on WhatsApp, and we link a chatbot to that experience, there will be some info that the customer either require. So there will have to be integration that has to be done from the conversation into back-end systems. And that's where we bring our expertise. We've done that many times for many customers. So we bring that expertise to you as a business. And I think we've seen quite an increase in customers, specifically at the time we live in today, an increase of customers looking at chatbots, looking at different ways how we can interact with customers. And we have developed a rapid deployment in Finch Chatbot to help these customers, you know, to get communication out to them, specifically in the call center environment. You know, call centers today has been disrupted, and how can business today, you know, streamline a call center? And I think what I've mentioned before about IVR deflection, and it's talking key to that, is where we can deflect a lot of calls from a call center to our chatbot in the WhatsApp channel. And I think that's quite important. And I think because we very much SA focus, also African focus, we also bring multi-language to our chatbot. I think that's quite important. So we can actually service our customers in their language. And I think that's very important. And like I mentioned, we also have multi-channel capability. What I mean by that, it's not only WhatsApp. We can also launch the service, and it will be the same experience on web. It will be the same experience on Twitter or even on Facebook Messenger. You know, so we have a truly omni-channel approach for our business today. And we very much SA cloud-based. And I think this is relevant to specifically financial industry, where data must be kept in borders of the country. So we have data centers we work with very closely to keep the data in this country for that specific reason. And then we also integrate with different third parties. So if there's authentication must happen, or even maybe when we do a KYC, we do link with third parties to bring that information forward into the WhatsApp channel or different channels in our chatbot. And then I think quite important for me, you know, and Finch Chatbot, is that it's not only about launching a chatbot and the experience. I think for any business today, you want to know, what is the chatbot doing? What are we doing and what is the experience on WhatsApp? And we bring dashboards and reporting. And that links to my last point as well. It's actually all about data insight. So it's not only about launching chatbots and giving that experience to your customer. I think for us, for the business value, the big value that we bring to the table is about the data insight we can give you back as a business. Meaning you can see when is the drop off from the customer? Is the chatbot doing what it's supposed to do? You know, what is the experience for the customer dealing with the business on a chatbot? And that, I think that's very important information that the business wants back from that experience. And I think also we have campaign tracking. So when you launch campaigns via the chatbot, we also track that experience and see what the uptake is on the chatbot as well. I think, so those are some key points, and there's many more, but these are some key points I want to mention from a value point of view that Finch Chatbot brings for the business today. All right, so yeah, and I want to thank Vonage, that's on the call as well. They are approved WhatsApp platform partner. We work very closely with them to launch the WhatsApp services today. So I think I am concluded with my slideshow. Yeah, I will handle any questions after the Vonage presentation. Right at the end, there will be a Q&A. So I'm going to hand over to Vasile. Vasile, you are there?
Hi there. So thank you, Niele. Thank you, Antoine and Krystle and Finch Chatbot team for having me today on this webinar. It's a great pleasure to be with you here today. Niele, thank you for the great presentation. I've learned myself quite a lot, so it was very informative, and the flow of the presentation was great. So thank you for that. So from my side, as Niele previously mentioned, we are Vonage, and we are one of the partners of Finch Chatbot, and our capabilities around communication. So we're a communication platform. We're in the CPaaS type of industry. So it's a communication platform as a service, and we're an official chatbot provider. And today we will discuss how Vonage and Finch Chatbot are creating intelligent conversations. Niele, as a confidant and a good friend, I will ask you kindly to help me with the slides. Next slide, please. So this is just an open question to the audience. What do you think this figure means? And what is this 72.3 billion? In your own thought process, you know, you can type in the Q&A section. You can ask the moderators of this webinar also to unmute the microphone if required. What do you think the 72.3 billion figure actually means to the business? All right, so we have different responses. So some people say there's the market cap of Finch chatbot. That's a good one. We have some responses that this is actually the call center market cap industry. Okay, that's also an interesting thought. The market of the chatbot. Okay, that's also a version. So anyone else? Any other thoughts? What this 72.3 billion figure means? Okay, the total market cap of the communication of CPaaS. I wish. Okay, so we had a couple of versions and some responses on this. So there is no kind of right or wrong answer here, but apparently, according to the analysts and the industry experts, 72.3 billion is the amount that businesses spend, and it's a forecast that they will spend by 2025 on their contact center operations. So that's a tremendous figure for a contact center operation, and it has a compound annual growth rate of 19%. So imagine this: the businesses spend 72.3 billion a year around the globe to maintain a contact center. So what we will discuss today is, how we can tackle into this figure, how we can reduce this figure with modern technologies, APIs, and the capabilities of Finch chatbot. And on top of that, how we can improve actually the customer experience. Because I'm sure most of you will agree that apart from being a very expensive part for the business, not always it's the best customer experience for the consumer. So that's exactly today what we'll be focusing on. Next slide, please. So we're going to introduce Vonage. We're going to explain why you need a strong product. What is the business value? Because, here today we're for you, for our attendees and guests on this webinar, we want to focus really on the customer experience side to bring value to the consumer, but also we would like to focus on the business value for you. We're going to explain why it's important to choose the right partner, and we're going to open the floor for Q&A. Next slide, please. So I'm sure you know, and you might use some of those apps and services and applications. These startups, now public companies, quite a few of them, they have profoundly changed their industries. Uber changed the way we hail a ride. Netflix changed the way we consume entertainment. The likes of Revolut or Amazon. Amazon changed our shopping experience and the way a last mile delivery of goods and services, should be brought to the customer door. So each of them have been disruptive, and each of them, changed the way we shop, we interact with a business, and what's our expectation from the business. And all of those companies have one thing in common. They were startups, now they're public companies. They were disruptors of their industries, and they are in the experience economy of right here, right now. And as we go into the presentation, next slide, please. We would like also to, introduce Vonage, because luckily Vonage was part of that journey of those customers. So, those logos that you've seen on the previous slide, they changed the industries and they changed us as well, actually, as a company, Vonage, the way we do business. So they pushed the boundaries of, customer service, of a communication journey. And we had to reinvent ourselves as well, constantly with our B2B customers and the B2C customers. So Vonage today is a global organization. We have our roots from US. We've been founded in 2001, and we, as our customers, challenged industries as well. So we started in the VoIP business. Some of you maybe even used Vonage for international distancing calling. But today, in 2020, as we go to the 2021, Vonage is a completely different company. So we're in the business of APIs. We're in the business of creating customer journeys across channels around the world. So we as our customers starting with something small. We were innovators in the VOD business through the years. We understood that that is no longer the case and the demand for the modern consumer, and we reinvented ourselves. From a VoIP company through a series of acquisitions, patented technology, and long hours of developer and engineering mindset. We challenged ourselves and we migrated to CPaaS and to try to build the world's most flexible communication platform. So we are global, but with a local touch, and we have the opportunity to work with partners as Finch Chatbot, where we exchange the knowledge, we exchange the expertise, and we try to understand the local markets. So think about Vonage as a global company, but with a local touch and strong partners like Finch Chatbot in Africa. Next slide, please. So our fundamental belief is one Vonage versus multiple vendors. So one partner, one stack, one infrastructure. And we aim for businesses and for our customers, people like yourselves, to take the full ownership. So we really want you to be the consumer of our technology and to be that one-stop shop when it comes to communications. And for that, we offer two worlds. We offer our platform, which we will explain further, and we offer a strong community of partners like Finch Chatbot. So we try to combine the two worlds and bring you to that one kind of a Vonage vision, which we'll explain further. Next slide, please. So when we talk about communications in one Vonage vision, the idea is to cover pretty much all the modern communication interactions today. So from basic requirements like SMS to complex video use cases and social experiences on WhatsApp in particular, which we'll focus today on Viber, Facebook Messenger, and the other modern social channels. So across the communication journey with our partners like Finch Chatbot, we're happy to confirm that really we cover all the spectrums. So, from basic needs to the most complex user journeys. And if you think at the end of the day, what we want to offer to our customers, together with our partners, is one single touch point of a communication. So a communication should be multi-channel, and our APIs allow that flexibility with an intelligent journey. Next slide, please. And when we say a platform, a platform is good and strong as long as, of course, it has a good product, it has strong partners like Finch Chatbot, but also if it creates the right flow. So a strong product is obsolete in our expertise and opinion if you don't correlate that with a strong customer journey. And we've been fortunate enough to work with Finch Chatbot that together we help to design those journeys for the customer and those conversations. So today with Finch Chatbot in Africa, we look to fulfill a full customer journey, as it's alluded on this screen, but also really try to get into the mindset of challenges. What each stage actually means for a business when you acquire a customer, engage, fulfill, and support. So we look at customer acquisition, we look at customer service, and we look at customer retention, because all of them fundamentally are important for the business, from generating revenue to maintaining and growing revenue. And all of that from a consumer perspective is a journey. So is a conversation. So when we go together with Finch Chatbot to our customers and we go to the market, we really try to focus our attention, of course, around a strong platform product, which is important because that's the backbone of our offering. But we focus on that CX design, what it means for the B2B and for the B2C. And we try to build our offering and our projects, and the way we drive the discussion is around based on those 4 key pillars. The next slide, please. So first, strong product, and luckily with Vonage and Finch Chatbot, we strongly believe that is the case. So you have the darlings of the two worlds. You have a strong chatbot partner like Finch Chatbot that have been doing a tremendous work in the region, and they have a clear understanding what is a great customer conversation journey. And luckily Vonage, that has been there for years already as a public company, a reliable partner with international footprint but local flavor understanding. Next slide, please. So because we're focusing in particular on WhatsApp today, and the webinar is around WhatsApp, we just wanted to briefly mention a couple of the main important features that we see that the WhatsApp can bring. So WhatsApp is not only a good to have social channel for the business. We believe that WhatsApp will tremendously actually change the experience for the consumer and the way a business operates. And for that particular journey, Vonage and Finch Chatbot, when we look at features, we design a WhatsApp experience to be similar for the consumer as the same as he has with his friends. So the way you used WhatsApp with your friends, with your colleagues, the same way we try to design a journey that is easily understandable, doesn't require training and learning, and those switching costs for the consumer to be the same. And we support all the medias, we support images, we support video files, and the audio files as well. So all the capabilities that you know today in the consumer app, we support most of them on the business API. And also exclusive to Vonage and Finch Chatbot, we also added the quick reply buttons, which we'll explain in the next slides. Next slide, please. So engagement opportunities with WhatsApp. So when we go to the market with Finch Chatbot, we ensure that first we focus on the experience. Having a WhatsApp official business API channel will not be relevant for you as a business, and for the consumer if the experience is not right. So we try to make that channel on the WhatsApp, of course, with the branded experience. We look that channel to be informative, to engage with the customer, to create a conversation, and to make sure that we retain him on this channel. So the way we design our use cases, they should be focusing on something that is conversational by nature, because that's the WhatsApp product, but also in the same time informative. We want the consumer to be able, in a self-service experience with a good Finch Chatbot conversation design, to get all the answers he needs very fast, and in this mode of kind of a right here, right now. So that's the philosophy when we're building a journey. And for that, we have all the relevant capabilities and functions that you see on the screen. Next slide, please. So we mentioned WhatsApp buttons. WhatsApp buttons has been introduced as a beta feature to us by Facebook, and we've been fortunate enough to be one of the first, and the first actually, business provider to test this. So we tried to bring a Facebook Messenger experience into WhatsApp, because what we've noticed, and that's after a couple of research kind of workshops we've done with Finch Chatbot as well, is that customers would like to have a response quite fast. And sometimes, clicking through 8 options on an experience in WhatsApp might not be the best way to go. And customers want a quick response, and they don't want that, kind of a long text and dialogues on the screen. And the Facebook Messenger buttons experience was something that clearly users loved, because it reduces the time for a query. You have a faster call to action, and you get a quick reply. So today this is limited to 3 buttons. As we grow this product and we learn more about the WhatsApp Business API, we'll look to extend that to above the free custom reply capabilities. And of course, we will do A/B tests with certain businesses and customers to see what is that optimal journey for the consumer. Because every feature we launch, we try to do an A/B test with certain customer focus groups, to try to identify that that's the right way to go. Next slide, please. So this is something briefly I would like to mention, because a lot of you are global businesses, and we know that WhatsApp is the global app, and clearly by far a global leader with more than 2 billion consumers using it around the world. But as a global business, your needs are also global. So the Dispatch API gives you the ability to optimize a messaging strategy. So what we mean by that, we have a single API that offers you that kind of a cascade capability to arrange a customer journey based on your regions. And I'll give an example. For you in Russia or Ukraine or Eastern Europe, in certain countries, Viber has a tremendous penetration rate, more than 90% in certain countries. WhatsApp, less. So in that country, you would like to engage the customer on Viber because you know the conversion rate is higher. So there is no need to educate the customer to download WhatsApp. He can just use Viber. In US, for example, Facebook Messenger is powerful and still very relevant to the user. He might not necessarily respond to a WhatsApp message as he will respond to a Facebook Messenger message. So you have that ability to define per country basis, geographic basis, what channel you want to use. And Dispatch API gives you that automatic capability. So it helps you to optimize costs. It helps you to follow the user on the channel they like. And it increases that user engagement. And if assumingly none of those worked, the customer is not on Viber, not on Facebook Messenger, on WhatsApp, there is still that good old strategy to send them an SMS. So, the final channel, if user didn't engage in any of those previously, is an SMS, which any device supports today, kind of a failover mechanism. Next slide, please. So as we've discussed, we want to focus on the business value because here today we are for our partners, our business prospects that join this webinar today with us. Business value is important because especially today we live in uncertain times because of the COVID-19. So last year or during high economic activity peak times, businesses reach out to us, to Vonage and to Finch Chatbot, asking about experiences, asking about digital transformations and how to reinvent themselves as a business to stay relevant to Generation Z or Generation M. Today, businesses reach out to us and they ask for our guidance. We want to keep our customers, we want to be relevant, but also we need help to optimize our costs, to optimize our budgets, how we can do that. And that's a valid question. I think not only because of the COVID-19, but any business has a certain KPI to do that. But today it's more relevant than ever. And we'll try to cover some of the basic of that business value in the next slides. Next slide, please. So talking about Africa, and we'll show a couple of use cases. We've been approached by a very known company in South Africa, especially for all the lovers of video entertainment, sports entertainment. I'm sure you've used their services in the past. They approached us with a mission to fulfill 3 big business goals. One was new customer acquisition. Second was to meet the user expectations. And 3 was to differentiate from OTT service. So we have been introduced to a new industry that we haven't known before, to be honest, much. And the challenge was there, how you're relevant to the Generation Z and Generation M, because I'm not sure if you're aware, but Africa is one of the first continents actually, and the only one continent, if I'm not mistaken, that has the fastest growing video entertainment markets in the world, and it's driven primarily by the youth and the young population. African continent is generally a very young continent, so more than 55% of Africa are under the age of 25 or 28, if I'm not mistaken. So Generation Z, Generation M is surging tremendously, and all those new consumers, young consumers, they look at the businesses in a different way, and they have that expectation of right here, right now. And as we will show the next couple of slides, that's exactly what we try to do in Africa. Next slide, please. So we engaged with DSTV, which I'm sure quite a few of you must know this company and maybe using their services as we speak. So the customers always drive the innovation. So they tell us, you know, in a way, indirectly with their feedback, how to do things right. And, you know, the challenge on the business is to reinvent themselves always, because if you're constantly reinventing yourself and challenging yourself as a business, you're being relevant to the market. You provide better service, better products, better experiences. So when we engage with DSTV, the idea was there to build something that is relevant, especially to the younger consumer, because DSTV is in the entertainment business. So the idea there was, you know, to build something that is right here, right now, helps the business to drive costs on customer service, and acts also as a revenue generation function channel, because the main topics was to focus on those pillars. And on the next slide, if we can move to the next slide, please, we can see that, you know, the main idea and the goal was improve customer service, which was tremendous. So they don't want people to call, you know, the call center anymore. And they wanted also to reinvent the WhatsApp channel as a revenue generation function. So the idea there was, you know, reduce the customer waiting time, because as all of us know, when you call a call center, that waiting line can go forever sometimes, and that was one of the challenges. And second was, you know, how we can provide good content, quick responses, and use WhatsApp as a revenue function channel. And the idea was to design that self-service experience with an English chatbot and give the ability of a 360 view degree, you know, perspective for the DSTV customers on their accounts. So, you know, instead of calling a call center, waiting on the line, dealing with all the pleasures of calling a call center helpline, any user of a DSTV, any customer, they can go on the WhatsApp channel in a very nice and pleasant self-service experience, ask the question, rent a movie, you know, validate certain troubleshooting aspects of the technical satellite device and things like that. So the channel, you know, proven itself not only to improve the experience and, you know, cut that call center heavy engagement, but also it proven to be a revenue generation function as well, because the customers can buy titles. So today, according to our data, as of April, this is actually the largest chatbot experience year to date on WhatsApp. And, you know, it exchanges more than 30 million monthly messages, which is a tremendous volume if you think about it. And that's only for South Africa alone. So the adoption was impressive. You know, customers loved it, they find it relevant, and they find it useful. So we achieved a couple of business KPIs here, reduce the cost of a call center, improve the customer experience, and help with the new customer acquisitions, because the younger generation Z and M, millennials in particular, they reacted very nicely to this channel, because that's something they use on their daily basis with friends, and now they have that capability to use it with the business in a nice conversational manner. Next slide, please. Also, we would like to briefly focus on Aramex. So I've been to South Africa previously, and I've seen firsthand actually Aramex logo in certain stores and supermarkets for last mile delivery in particular. So Aramex is a logistic company, and they do shipping in more than 69 countries. And the challenge there was to provide that seamless last mile delivery experience. Again, we were targeting the call center journey and the call center deflection, which Niele was mentioning previously in his presentation, because customers traditionally, especially the younger ones that shop online and do e-commerce, they don't like to call. They would like to have a self-service experience that is fast and helps you know, to fulfill the purpose of the query. So the idea was, you know, to reduce the call center interaction, and we reduced that. Actually today it's more than 38%. So those figures needs to be updated as a matter of fact. So now it's almost half of the call center calls have been reduced. Everything goes to the chatbot, which is in English and Arabic for the Middle East customers. And the users really loved it. You know, the adoption was tremendous. In the last 6 months, from 0 consumers on the WhatsApp channel, they managed to grow their audience to 4 million monthly active users. So customers no longer call the call center. They just go on the channel and in a self-service experience, you know, with a couple of clicks at their fingertips, they get all the information they need. So, and also RMX shared with us, and there is a public study on the Vonage website, which you can read, the resolution time reduced from 5 minutes to around 30 seconds on average, because the experience on the chatbot is just faster. And the way the conversation goes is instantaneous. So that was a tremendous win for the business and also for the consumers. Next slide, please. And because we are talking with Finch Chatbot, and as I'm sure most of you know, Finch Chatbot has a tremendous experience in developing interesting journeys for the fintech scene, especially, which is upcoming in Africa. So fintech, insurtech, lending, those are the industries to watch in Africa by all means. And I think, you know, Finch Chatbot is contributing a lot to this cause, you know, by designing those journeys that are relevant to the market. I would like to briefly focus also on a banking use case. Unfortunately, we cannot share the user journey of the banking experience due to the GDPR and privacy requirements, because it's a banking use case for private wealth management. So the design for this experience, unlike DSTV and RMX, is a little bit different. So for the user, we offer the 2 capabilities. So depending on where you are with Bank Audi, when it comes as a customer, so you can have access to self-service experience and you can have access to a live agent. So for certain loyal and long-term customers that have been with the bank, there is the live agent experience that you can have those concierge services as you would have in a digital app. So some of them are custom made and built for the consumer of the bank. Some of them are by default available for everybody. So the idea with Bank Audi was to build something that is secure, encrypted. As you know, the WhatsApp messages are encrypted by nature. You know, take into consideration GDPR, take into consideration that this is financial critical data and the way it's stored and transmitted. So it was an interesting project for us to fulfill. And I think the idea of Bank Audi is a little bit unique in a sense that it offers the both worlds. So you have the self-service experience of a chatbot if you just want to apply for a card and you are a new customer to the bank. And it also offers that tailored concierge experience with a live agent if you're an existing customer of the bank and you need some bespoke financial products or advisory and services in personal banking, you can get it. That's something that we haven't seen before. And as a matter of fact, Bank Audi was one of the first banking experiences back in 2018 when the business API product was in early stages to launch into the market. Next slide, please. So, you know, choose the right partner. That's critical. And I think that's super important. Choosing the right partner will really define your digital journey for at least 2 to 3 years to come. So we believe that in Africa, Vonage and Finch Chatbot have a strong offering when it comes to designing intelligent customer journeys with an SLA product grade that respects the privacy, respects the global needs and capabilities, and data redundancy and scalability. Because what we've noticed is the social messenger use cases on WhatsApp, they have the ability to grow and scale very fast. So if you start with not a reliable partner, you will hit scalability issues, elasticity issues. So that's something you should consider. And as we go into the next slide, please. You know, communication channels for your business are a strategic asset. And when you design something for you as a business and for the customer, for the consumer, you need to look at a partner that can be integrated with your existing backend systems and the ones that you plan to acquire. So the beauty of Finch Chatbot and Vonage partnership, and Vonage is a platform actually, we are an API platform. So by nature, we can integrate in any of your business processes today. For many of them, we have already existing publicly available connectors. And where we don't have one publicly available on GitHub or any other resources, we'll make sure to help you to integrate and build one. So the idea of using Vonage is the flexibility. And the flexibility comes with a good APIs and a good platform. And working together with Finch Chatbot, what we've noticed is, especially for enterprise customers, you know, that aspect is critical. How well you can integrate in the current infrastructure. So how you can combine the two worlds, the worlds of premise technology and the world of cloud technology. And, you know, the Vonage Finch Chatbot offering was a good fit specifically for those kind of use cases, because we combine the both world. We work with premise and we work with cloud very easily. So when you're making a decision for your business, you know, of course, look at the product, look at the team, look at the coverage, look at the commercials, which are of course important as well, by all means. But think about this, that you're buying a piece of strategic asset for your business. And the way it will fit your business will define the customer journey for years to come. Next slide, please. So without further ado, and I hope I didn't took too much time today, thank you for having me on the webinar. Thank you, Finch Chatbot team, for inviting me. I would like to open the floor to questions and to a Q&A session, you know, and I'll be more than happy to cover any questions around WhatsApp and communication capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vasile and Niele, for your presentations. Hopefully that helps everybody to get a much better understanding of WhatsApp and how it can add value to their organizations. So I will ask the questions on behalf of the attendees based on all the questions that were asked on the Q&A section. So the first question I'd like to ask is, how secure is WhatsApp as a channel?
Sure, that's a great question, and I think also business critical for certain use cases. If we're talking about finance and you know, financial information, but apart from those industries, it's critical for any business. You know, data privacy shouldn't be taken lightly, especially with GDPR and those kind of requirements. So as you know, WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted. So the conversation. And of course, you know, I'll be happy to take some of it offline to share my contact details, introduce you to Vonage product managers that are experts in this field. But the conversation by default is end-to-end encrypted. So there is an encryption key on the handset of the user, Android or iOS, and an encryption key is generated on the business side, in this case of DSTV or RMX or Bank Audi. So that encryption key are exchanged between the business and the consumer each time a conversation journey is created with a new user. So yes, it's encrypted, and for more you know, sensitive use cases, Vonage offers the ability of management APIs. Management APIs are a set of specific tools that we have created for the purpose of GDPR. So reporting API, audit API, and auto data redact API that comes in play. That offer you even more control and engagement on, you know, the way the data is handled, how the data is transmitted, and actually points of storage of data. So I'll be happy to take that further offline as well, and you know, to show some of its capabilities. So yes, in a nutshell, it is encrypted. And on top of that, Vonage offers a suite of tools for GDPR specifically that gives you even more depth and visibility in that. Next question, please.
Great, thank you very much. The next one is it possible to route queries to different departments from the WhatsApp channel?
Yes, absolutely. So if you can move to the previous slide before the Q&A. Yes, so as we mentioned, together with Finch Chatbot, when you reach out to us for expertise, you're reaching out for strategic assets, because communication channels are strategic assets today of a consumer and for the business. So we can be integrated in different systems that you have today. Just as some examples you can see on the screen, of course, but we are an API platform. And I think as an API platform, the fundamental advantage is that ability to integrate in your existing and current workflows you have. So it's about us doing that project validation, assessing your current systems, and advising you what will be the best way to integrate with that. So in short, in summary, yes, that's absolutely the case. We can drive the conversation to different systems you have today at your company, and we define those journeys together on Finch Chatbot side and Vonage side as well.
Cool, thank you, Vasile. The next question is, how long does it take for WhatsApp to approve a scenario? And the second question based on that is, once it is approved initially, if that company wants to make changes, how long does it take for the changes to be approved?
That's a good question. So when it comes to approval, depends on the business. So fundamentally, our job as Vonage, as a BSP, is to advise on those steps. And we have a specific guidance around that, which we'll be happy to share after the call and with relevant parties. So on average, what we've seen, if a business is already Facebook business verified and they have a business page, to get a green badge validated, it's within a remit of 3 business days. So anything from 1 to 3 business days is the green badge validation. When it comes to launch the channel, having that phone number live without the green badge, we can do that even in 1 business day, because the green badge validation is a process controlled and owned by Facebook in relationship and collaboration with Vonage. So we do that green badge validation on your behalf, and we help you with that process. But they will need to approve or disapprove a brand if they get a green badge or not. And if it's Facebook verified, it's 3 business days. If the business is not Facebook verified and they don't have a Facebook presence, and it's just a new company, a new startup, doesn't have any online presence, usually the process takes longer. And the way it works is Facebook offers access to WhatsApp Business API. They will give you the ability to use the WhatsApp Business API through Vonage, but the green badge most likely will come after the business goes through certain tiers. So today on the WhatsApp Business API, I have 3 tiers: tier 1, 2, and 3. That means message quality. So how you engage with the consumers, if they don't have any complaints against your messaging policy and things like that. So if that goes well for a period of like anything from 2 weeks to 1 month, and you go through those tiers, and Vonage will help you to advise through the way how to navigate those tiers, Facebook will revise their opinion, and they might issue a green badge. But that's in the case of a business that has no presence on Facebook, and they don't have a Facebook page, and they haven't been Facebook verified before.
Brilliant. So there was quite a lot of interest on the ABSA demo that was done. And the question that came from the audience was, can you do sales on WhatsApp?
Oh, so maybe I can answer that, Vasile, if you don't mind. So I think,
by all means,
from the ABSA use case, I think other use case we saw as well. I think it all depends on, there is a few rules and regulations around the WhatsApp channel, but in the clear case of ABSA, their use case is very much where the customer actually engages with the brand, and that's exactly what the use case is for ABSA. So the customer engages with ABSA, and in that use case, they actually are selling airtime and data on the channel. But it's only when the consumer is actually engaging with the channel or with the business. Once I do that, in the ABSA use case specific, the main use case there was actually to check your bank statement or to check your bank accounts. But they also then added on other use cases to sell airtime and data. So yes, but again, it depends on who initiates the conversation. A business today cannot send a marketing message out from the brand where the brand actually initiates the conversation. Those must be templated and has to conform to the rules and regulations of WhatsApp. All right. So yes, in one way it can, but in other case it can't. All right. So I hope that answers the question. Thank you. Over to you, Krystle.
Great. So what I hear from that is that the customer is placed right as the priority, and to make sure that they have a positive experience on WhatsApp. So I think that's great. The next question is, can you use the same WhatsApp number in multiple countries? And what are the pros and cons of this?
Sure, I can take this one. So generally what we see, if you're a global business, for the right customer journey and a pleasant experience for the consumer, we recommend to have local numbers, at least in the countries with the biggest presence for that business. Because what we see, customers respond much better to local numbers. So if I'm a business from Dubai, I would love to use a local number from UAE. The same for UK or Germany and things like that, because that's just the way the consumers behave and react to those kind of things. If the number is local, we see a much higher increased conversion and interaction with that WhatsApp channel, and users using it more. Because you can use, of course, just one phone number. So technically that's possible, and it will work in all the countries in the world. It's just a matter of customer conversion, customer experience, and how keen they will be to engage with you as a business. That's our personal observations and based on our expertise. Consumers react better to local numbers.
Perfect. That does make a lot of sense. We're on our second last question. So can you tell us more about the integration in terms of, does WhatsApp pull live data from a company system when, for example, in that ABSA demo, you want to sort of send 200 Rand to your mom?
Krystle, just repeat that question. I wasn't 100% sure on that. Just repeat that.
Sure. So in terms of the integration, so with using that ABSA example, the question was, if you want to, through WhatsApp, transfer 200 Rand to a family member, is WhatsApp directly integrated with the company system to do that?
Yes, definitely. So I think what we've seen in most of these use cases and implementations we've done, WhatsApp as a channel, normally to communicate with the customer on their preferred method of WhatsApp, but then that's integrated into a chat platform like Finch Chatbot, and then there will be definitely integration points from our platform into the customer's backend, either to the CRM or to your ERP system, or maybe to a database, a customer database, to pull and push that kind of information from there. So specifically in the ABSA use case, definitely, they've done a lot of work on the integration side to integrate with the banking system. So I think there's three parts to this solution for ABSA specifically. It was the communication channel, that's WhatsApp. There's the platform, the chatbot really, and then the third layer will be then the database or the integration part into the back end.
Fantastic, thank you. And then we're on to our last question, which, Vasile, I know you addressed it a little bit about the features that have been added, but one of the question was, when will you be able to enrich the WhatsApp experience like they have done with the Messenger experience?
That's a good question. Thank you for that. So the product roadmap is with Facebook. Luckily, we, as one of their top business solution providers, we have visibility on that. But there are certain things that we can share on the product roadmap. There are certain things that we are bound to share, unfortunately. But the experience on the buttons today is a beta feature. So the development and enhancement of this feature relies actually on the businesses and the consumers. So today we try to aggregate as much as we can data through A/B testing and user conversions. How they like that function or not, is it useful for them? And we really track the conversions. So we don't have yet enough data to say in one way or another what is that optimal experience. So depending on the data we're going to get from the businesses and A/B testing and conversions of this new feature, that's how the Facebook will drive the enhancement of the buttons. So I would say, in Q2 2020, still we need to collect more data from the consumers and the businesses through A/B testing, and then later on Q3, Q4, it will be easier to make a decision on this. Together, of course, it's totally on Facebook, how they want to drive this, but they always ask for feedback from the BSPs. So now we're in a collection data kind of a process mode.
Fantastic. That sounds good. Thank you so much, Niele, Vasile, and everybody for joining us for the WhatsApp for Business webinar. It was great having everybody, and we look forward to the next one.
Thank you very much, Krystle and team. Thank you, Vasile. Nice to meet you. And yeah, thank you very much for the presentations.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you for having us, Vonage, and thank you for having me as well on this call, and wish you best of luck.